Hello, hello. I think we're live. Just going to take a deep breath. Let's see if anybody joins me today. If not, if you're enjoying your 4th of July extended weekend, happy holidays. So happy that you are here or not here, wherever you are. So happy to share this time with you over the next few minutes. And it really is. I came here because I wanted to spend some time with you guys. So, logistics first. I can't see your name. Okay. I see Michelle Wilson. Oh my gosh, sister, so happy to see you here. Shayna Kuhn is in the house. I'm so excited you are here. Happy afternoon to Wisconsin. Happy Serena, where are you in the world? Serena, you have to click the thing in the thing, because otherwise every comment that you put in is going to come in as Facebook user. It looks like this. I'll show you guys. And if anybody has recommendations on how to not deal with that. Oh, you're in Austin. I'm a Longhorn. So, two things about Austin, Texas. So I just want to have a conversation with you guys. Let's see who's here and who else joins us. It's going to be perfect, however it is. Michelle is enjoying a hike on the gorgeous Colorado. Oh my God. I am so jealous of the mountains a little bit sometimes. Love the mountains. It gives you perspective. I found it's like on, what is it called? Projector. Do you know what I'm talking about? We projectors, we need mountains. We need to see perspective. Hook him. All right. So honestly, I'm just going to share with you what's been coming through. I'll be honest. For those of you who have followed me for 2 years, it's like that. It's like, what? It's like not the same person here. And everything has shifted for so many of us. Who here feels like it? It's just been so many crazy shifts. Is it just me, or is it the energy? Is it everything? Is it everyone? New perspectives every day. I was going to say I'm not the same person that I was yesterday afternoon, let alone last week, let alone a month ago, let alone a year ago. And sometimes it creates challenges in business because you're like, there's expectations and people are like, but I want this, I'm used to this, and I get this, like so I'm just very, very thankful to those of you who have been around for a while, to being open and to being okay with it all. Everything that I've thrown at you, even though sometimes it can be a little contradicting, yes. Okay. I'm glad you're with me, Michelle. Yes. It's crazy shifts. So, a purpose. I was going to talk about purpose. Okay. Personal sharing first. In the past few months, I've been in a purpose limbo where I really wanted there to be purpose and there just wasn't one. And the problem was that I wasn't seeing the purpose that was right in front of me. I was sort of discounting it all. And the purpose that was right in front of me was, in scientific terms, clear the 40 field. In a human terms, heal. Heal. Okay, I have to take that off the screen. I just noticed it's still there. Okay, poor Serena. her comment is still up there. And so sometimes our soul really wants us to do one thing, but our ego is like, yeah, but the purpose is supposed to look like something different. Like you're supposed to be building, you're supposed to be going, da, 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 da. And thank goodness I got COVID. I say thank goodness because it kind of helped to break things down to like nothing. And as I was lying in bed and just going, oh my gosh, there's like, I literally have no energy, apathy, all of that. It really helped to break down some of the ego's attachments to ego's creation of its own purpose, right? And it was so funny because it wasn't until I completely gave that up and I was like, okay, I'm just going to lay low. I'm going to run a couple programs here and there, because a single mother needs to provide and blah, 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 blah. But my entire focus is going to be on healing myself completely. Right. And I surrendered to that so completely and so entirely. And so the past weeks have been like, tunneling and tunneling and tunneling and tunneling and tunneling. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say tunneling? Like you're tunneling deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper inside you to find the craziest paradigms and like, what do you call that? Like it's almost like encodements. Some of this is trauma-based, but a lot of it is a collective encodements that are binding you to this reality that is in so many ways inverted and upside down and inside out and backwards and craziness, but we don't see it. We are born into it. We live in it until we like tunnel. Whoa, what is this? Like the other day, for example, I was tunneling into unworthiness, and it's like when you get to like, what is that even about? Like, why does it even matter? Why is that even a conversation? The whole thing explodes and just dissipates, right? Okay. Seems like some of you guys, a bunch of Facebook users. Okay, those of you who show up like this, you need to click the link so I can see your name so I can say hi to you. So anyway, right? So tunnel. So purpose. Before we talk about purpose, we have to talk about what spiritual work actually means. Because part of the inversion in the world is seeing spiritual work as something to learn, right? And it's like, if we can just like learn how to be a high vibe person, we can learn the perfect skills, learn the materials. We study the teachers, right? And it's not that teachers aren't helpful. It's not that spiritual teachings aren't helpful. They are helpful in a sense that when you actually go inward and when you start doing the channeling and you find, oh, this is what that person was talking about, it's like validation. Yeah, right? So when it comes to spiritual teaching and spiritual teachers, they don't teach because they want you to digest the information and live the information, because it doesn't work that way at all. You cannot become enlightened by reading a bunch of enlightened books. It just doesn't do that. It's the opposite, actually. But when you hit that realization and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm on the right track. You guys got me? You guys hear me? Have you done that? And you're like, oh, I get non-duality. That was my last week. I get non-duality finally. It was like that. I was very excited. I was like, I get it. Anyway, so spiritual process, spiritual work, right? Because there's purpose at the level of your ego driver, and there's purpose at the level of your soul, wherever it sits, right? On whatever frequency it sits. So in order, I know I'm like a little bit all over the place. Hopefully you guys can hang in with me. So your ego has its own purpose. And in business, it can be empowering because the ego is also positive. The ego is the mind, right? So it can be very positive. It's like, empower yourself and, create 50K months or whatever. And that's all great, but that's here. And then there's your soul's purpose. There's your soul's purpose. And in order to see that for what it is, there is the spiritual work that needs to happen. And the spiritual work is actually the opposite of what many people think it is. It's not learning. It's not mastering. It's not adopting. It's literally undoing this whole shebang. That is the 4D field. That is the programs that we have believed, right? There's the personal level trauma, which really is collective trauma. We have, oh my gosh, like when you look at it from broader perspective, you have been all of it. We are each other. We're just like different timeline versions of each other, right? So your trauma, if I dig deep enough inside me, I can find your trauma. I can find anybody's trauma, right? Because if we dig far deep enough, we will find everybody's trauma. We all share the same stuff on some level because we are all one on some level. But anyway, it's a little out there. But but it's the kind of tunneling and taken apart, and then there is kind of the collective, the grids and the belief systems, and like some of the things, like examples, there's enslavement codes that we have been bound into, enslaving others / being enslaved, controlling others / being controlled, seeing ourselves as better than or less than, right? There's these encodements, like people are born into a race, for example, and part of that race is the encodement of either superiority or inferiority, right? And we have to, within us, we have to go inside and reach in deep inside of us to take that apart. You have to see it. You can't make yourself wrong and say, I'm not going to be a racist or whatever. You have to find that encodement within you. None of like people acting the way they act, they're not evil. They just haven't found and dissolved the programming, you see? So you start to see there's really no duality. There's only personal work. There's only our deep inner work that we do. Make sense? So then our spiritual work to get to our purpose, the first thing is what I call the freedom work. Well, what I call it, that's an overstatement. I literally just wrote it down in my journal here yesterday as I was going through many of one of many journeys recently. And so the freedom work starts with tunneling deep within, forgiving all the parts of our psyche that have done what they have done, right? Forgiving others, the collective undoing on all these weird, bizarre belief systems around our worthiness or unworthiness or good enoughness or not good enoughness, and what we're allowed to want or not allowed to want or whatever it is, right? Disarming. Ooh, that's a really great word too. Okay. Exactly. Disarming, right? So you start like breaking through and you start seeing. And after you do that work for a while, it starts merging with this other type of work, which is kind of like a soul connection work, where you start integrating with the frequencies of your soul more and more and more and more. And what I found out, somebody says, pour me another drink. Who are you? Why do that is kombucha, okay? All right. So, you guys are funny. So the soul connection, I have a story for you. I have a client and I'm also her client. And I've been through so much of this disarming that like the stuff that I taught 2 years ago is so no longer true for me at all. But it's like she's been with me for 3 years and she told me at some point, I don't get coaching from you. I get coaching straight from your higher self. And it's really, really interesting, right? That we can kind of do that. And then once I got connected, because my higher self sits at the 7th dimension. And once I got that, once I work through the multi-dimensional integration, and I go like, okay, this is where my higher self sits, then the purpose became really, really obvious, because the perspectives and the view you get at the level of your higher self, once you get that integrated and you get sort of the multi-dimensional perspective and you start seeing into that, it's like, holy shit, you no longer have any interest in the 3D ego version of yourself. And your whole purpose in that moment becomes the integration with your higher self, because the higher self purpose at that level is so much more vast, is so much bigger. For me anyway, because it's so not about the context for me, myself, and I, and achieving 10K months, 50K months, whatever. The higher self doesn't even care about that at all. The higher self doesn't care about building business for the sake of building a business, okay? It just becomes like building a business is a mechanism. It's a tool. It's a structure. It's an organization, right? And it can be very, very beautiful, but it's in support of something that is so much bigger than your business. You feel me? Are you guys with me? Right? So connection, right? You get that. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, how did I not see this? And then the vision is like, wow. And then the next stage is surrender. Surrender, 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 surrender. This is water, not white wine, by the way. Just couldn't find my water bottle. Yes, that's where it just becomes such a yes, I'm game for any of this. I am game for any of this, and I will do whatever inner work it takes to get the ego driver, heal the ego driver, integrate the ego driver so that I can be in total and complete alignment with all that is isness. So then you start to see there's purpose and there's purpose, right? So for me, until I got that, there was sort of like a placeholder purpose, right? Because your ego driver will feel like there needs to be a purpose and will make something up. And that's totally okay, right? That's when you go for like, okay, I'm going to go for like 50K months or whatever speaks to you in that way. And that there's nothing wrong with that, right? Or 10K, whatever it is, right? There's that. But really, the inner work for me is so crucial to expanding into, your soul's purpose. Let's see what you guys are saying. There's not a whole lot being said. I'll just let you guys reflect on this a little bit while I gather my thoughts. What do you do? The question that I kind of want to ask on whoever's behalf is, what do you do when you don't know what that purpose is? Right? When you don't know what that purpose is, because it can drive you mad, because you feel like the dog that just needs to be thrown a bone to run after something. And it really becomes like, okay, what is the next thing in front of you? What really makes you excited? Is it healing right now? Then go for it. Give yourself the permission to not make yourself wrong. That's all it is. Is it something else? Just follow your heart. And then let's see, I really want to it's still hard for me because I show up live here and it's like, I really don't want to speak to you from my ego and just fill the space with something, because I'm just like, no. No. Huh. So then, creating a business, right? The goal, or at least my goal in this moment, while I'll continue my integration with the seventh dimension, which sounds really weird, but that's really just where my soul sits. I have no idea where other people's soul sit. That's just where mine is complete integration. And in the meantime, everything that I do in my business, the marketing, the sales, the teaching, the live streaming, the content posting, the people that I work with, the people that I don't work with, it all, it's just, how can I align that with the highest level understanding that I currently have? And this is where people get really, really split, because in the world of business, there's the business coaching industry. And I know this very well because I contributed in that. And it causes a lot of internal turmoil for people because the business coaches, a lot of them don't get it at all, right? They're not on the same spiritual path that you are on. They're on a path of something else. They're on a path usually of empowerment. They're on a path of proving success and empowering themselves and making money and all that. And that's perfect. There is time and place for that. It's awesome and it's amazing and it's beautiful, and go get it done if you're on that path, right? But for some of you, you're on a very, very different path. And it's a path of self and other liberation. You want the highest level perspective and freedom for yourself, and you also want the same healing and freedom for others. So then the business, because of these influences of the business coaching industry, which I am very familiar with because I played into that, right? It becomes very confusing and it causes internal turmoil. I'm curious who here has been conflicted because the way you're doing marketing and sales just doesn't feel good, but you feel like you have to follow that because you're listening to people who it's like you're in two different worlds, right? You're like, your marketing and your sales is like over here in this frequency and in this context. And you feel like if you leave that context, it's not going to work because they must have something, they have figured it out. So you're going to run it within this 3-4D world of like wanting all the copywriting and positioning, which is in a context of making money, right? That's where they're coming from. And you're binding into. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Metrics, right? Do you guys get that, what I'm saying? And so it creates this internal conflict. If you are aligned with that, and that's where you are, it will work magic and you will make a shit ton of money. Until you start merging with your soul, and then you're like, shit, these are two different worlds. How do I reconcile them? I'm in one foot over here in this paradigm and in one foot over here in that paradigm. And this over here makes me feel icky. It makes me feel yucky. You guys get that? So the idea for us is we need to reconcile those two. We need to give ourselves permission to elevate everything we do in marketing and in sales, all that stuff. Elevate that, bring that up, hold the context, hold the frequency, all that fun stuff. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. There's so much more. I mean, I could go for hours, the revelations and the craziness. But I think I want to just keep it at this. Really excited about what's going to transpire as we lift our frequency in the business coaching world, and how we build our businesses, and really everything just becomes in service to us and to others, you know, all of us together. All right. I'm going to sign off. So happy to have spent this time with you. Love you guys. And I'll see you soon.